I might not know a lot about gacha games, but I can assure you that I know a lot about open world and live service games. Keep in mind that everything that I'm gonna talk about in this video is just my opinion, don't worry. I'm not gonna judge you morally or anything like that. If you have a different opinion, don't mind. So, I learned a lot of things about gacha games by playing them for around a year. Like, these are not the only games that I played, but you know, like, there are the games that I played for the most part. I played games like Neverness to Everness, Wuthering Waves, Arknights Endfield, and Zenless Zone Zero. I play other type of games, but I'm gonna be honest, like, I either don't want to talk about them because they are too much for YouTube, or I don't think I'm gonna be fair if I criticize them because I'm very biased and I'm gonna make like a very destructive video about them, so I'm not gonna even mention them. Either way, there are a lot of stigmas when you start playing gacha games that obviously is the part of, oh, these games have a lot of gambling, have a lot of monetization. When you start playing them and you start to click with them, some are easier to click than others, in my opinion. You kind of realize that you can work around those things that they are heavily monetized. Because yes, these games are heavily monetized. Like, some people try to justify them because they are free to play, others not. Like, I think the general consensus that the community has, at least, is that a lot of these things usually tend to be something that you either tolerate or not, and that's about it. It's not really like a thing of, oh, for example, I like the 50-50. I'm not one of those people. I don't think I read people that likes the 50-50. They usually just tell me like they either tolerate it or that I should quit gacha games because I'm not sure in what am I entering. And I'm like, no, I understand. Like, I can still dislike it, but I understand how it works, right? It doesn't matter because it's the vocal minority at the end of the day, right? And usually when I play a gacha game and I make a video about them, I ask myself this question of, oh, do they respect my time or not? And I know it's kind of ambiguous because, like, from outside, if you're a person that doesn't really play gacha games or does, but in a very casual term, you're gonna tell me that, oh, these games are not really designed to respect your time. And I can argue you a lot about video game history and tell you that most games are not really designed to, quote-unquote, respect your time. The thing is, like, the games are designed to hook you in some way or another. With the surge of indie games, that thing changed a lot and we had more narrative experiences and such, right? And there was this period of time that they used to make shorter games that were easier, but at the same time, they would just sell even more games from the same iteration, right? So yes, they would respect your time, but they wouldn't really respect your wallet because the assets were very recycled at the end of the day. Gacha games, in particular, at least the ones that I'm gonna talk about in my video, they do respect my time in one way or another. The thing is, like, when I say that if they respect my time or not, I say it because it's the time that I'm spending with them enjoyable. Is the game loop that they have enjoyable and they don't feel like a chore? Is this game loop well designed? Are the rewards justify or not considering the tasks that I'm doing? All those stuff that I ask myself when I see if they respect my time or not. Eventually, there are some people that think that if they respect your time or not, it means, oh, am I getting good rewards for this? And this is just some part of it, okay? Because if the task that I'm doing is not fun, I don't care if they give me like a lot of rewards for characters that I want to pull out for. And I have to say that I'm a free-to-play / semi-free-to-play because sometimes I spend in some subscription or anything like that, depending on the game, depending on the month. They do respect my time in those regards. Like, eventually there are games that do different stuff that click with me more than others. For example, like if I'm going for narrative, I'm gonna tell you that I prefer Wuthering Waves above most of them that I played. If I'm gonna tell you about the combat, I can praise Wuthering Waves for what it is, but the Neverness to Everness ones clicks with me more because the reactions are easier to understand, even though Wuthering Waves has more depth. And then there are games like Zenless Zone Zero that the combat feels more satisfying because the stunt animations and the hit and the reactions feels insane every time you click it. And then there is Arknights Endfield that it has one of the most visually pretty and appealing art style of them all, right? At least for me, eventually. Again, this is all my opinion. So what I'm trying to say with all this is that some games excels in one area more than others, and other games, even though they excel in that area, they click with me even more in other areas, right? And as a person that I am, that I play them all casually and I try to to divide how much I play them, how much time I spend in any of them, and there are times that I take a break from one and I go to the other and such, right? I don't play all of them every day at the same time with the same amount of attention span that I could give to them. Those things eventually are gonna just deter on how I experience gacha games compared to the person that plays only one and plays only that one and is gonna probably defend more that one than any of the others that I'm mentioning in this video, because they, one, understand it in more depth than me, and two, they feel more emotionally attached to that one game more than any other. If you tell me the one that I understand the most because it's the one that recently came out, so I had more time to not only catch up but to watch guys and understand how it worked out properly, is Neverness to Everness. But I understand that some part of the community would prefer other stuff like Wuthering Waves or Arknights Endfield or Zenless Zone, you know, like I like them all more or less with the same amount of regards. There are ones that I play more, there are ones that I play less, there are ones that click more with me, there are others that click less. Then there are things that actually change my perspective of some games more than others, and it really depends on which characters do I own in my account, right? Because yes, I can have an account with a lot of meta characters, but if they are not fun to play, they really change my perspective of that game. And you can say that, well, but if they are not fun to play, why you pull for them? And sometimes it's because either they do have power creep, even though I try to not tackle the endgame. Sometimes I feel like I have to if I want currency for the characters I want, right? And the endgame tends to be one of those things that gives me a lot of currency. But then again, it's something that I could just ignore completely and do my own thing. And eventually, and this is another thing that is kind of obvious, but I can like one character in one patch and in the next patch be completely bored out of it. And that's gonna change my opinion of the game in that patch too. So it really depends at the end of the day, like what's going on with the game in that exact moment and how is my account in that exact moment in whatever is going on with the game, depending on the story, depending on the content itself, depending how much time do I have, and a lot of things that some are internal to the game and others are external to the game that eventually are gonna change my opinion about the game. And another thing that I've been thinking about when I play all these games often is the fact that it's easier eventually to catch up with content if you only play one, right? And at the same time, since I'm a person that I already played other games that are live service, especially PvE ones, I can tell you that you're gonna get very resentful if you only play one of these games only the long term you play. And this is not because like they are bad or they are bad design or anything like that. It's just that I feel most of these games are just very casual, considering how they are made and how they are like how the system works, the stamina works and all those things. You can't just play so much of one game unless you are doing story content eventually. And I'm not upset about that, to be honest. Like I don't have infinite time nowadays, so this is something that it doesn't really bother me, but I always can understand that people that don't play gachas is a thing that they can bother them. Even though if you ask me, considering the state of open world games nowadays, not talking about live service ones, just open world games as a whole, it's not so different from the gacha open world games. Sure, you don't have stamina, but you have a huge lot of chores that you have to do to clear out the map, and you maybe just get one piece of armor or anything like that. Like at the end of the day, the game loop is, in my experience, is not so different. Sure, you do have FOMO and pressure sometimes, depending on how much time you have to pull up for a character and try to do stuff in order to get them. And there are some games in this list of games that I'm mentioning that if you don't have the map unlocked, you cannot really build up the characters you want, and this is something that happens. The more it happens, the more it annoys me, if I'm being honest. And I think that's pretty much it, what I wanted to say about gacha games. I know I've detoured a lot, I know I've said a lot of things, I know that I'm gonna cut a lot of things out of this video. I'll be honest, like I didn't want to make like a quote-unquote essay, the same type of that I always do. I just wanted to talk with you casually about how I feel about gacha games after playing them for 1 year more or less. I'm gonna keep playing them despite some vocal minority that tell me that I should quit them because I don't understand the type of monetizations. No, man, I'm not a person that goes to a casino and complains about gambling, okay? I'm not that type of person. I'm the type of person that, considering I know how this system works, how live service works, and how much monetization they have, there are parts of that monetization that I consider that are wrong, or I don't like them, and I'm gonna complain about them every time I see them. And you can tell me that I should quit them, and I won't care. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.